Hi, this is Darren from Property Prosperity. I just got home from speaking at a presentation for a group of TAFE students in the city, and lucky to be invited by Peter Kaloutos, the property professor, to come along and have a bit of a chat. I was actually having a chat about selling real estate, but just thought I'd also have a bit of a chat. One of the other speakers that was there was Angelo Mena. I'm not sure if anyone knows him. He's a bit of a local property expert, and one of the things I found out about him tonight was he's actually got a PhD, so he's actually Dr. Angelo, so that's pretty impressive. What he was presenting tonight about was how people sort of get a bit fixated on local issues and about, zoning and approvals and, what the market's doing with it around where they live. The thing that he said was also worth considering is global issues as well and how that can affect property prices. One of the things he talked about was how historically, when you look back over time, that the market is pretty consistently over many, hundreds of years, he's saying, there's been a sort of a readjustment in the market, and which is considered like a depression every about 80 years. So based historically, he's saying that what we'd expect is, something like to happen pretty soon. Obviously, it happened, almost 80 years ago. So that's why he's saying, and if we look at economically, we look around what's happening around the world, we can see that, there's a lot of countries struggling to, obviously in the EU, they're having a few issues over there at the moment, as obviously, we just got through the GFC, and the hangover from that is creating a lot of stress on the economy. We know what's happened with Japan. They've been in recession, for 15 years probably, and so their interest rates are like zero almost. America is just coming off of almost zero interest rates, and what that means when interest rates are really low is that they're pumping money out into the economy. So putting all this money, they're trying to get people to spend money, because if people aren't spending money, then they're not buying anything, and then they can't pay people's wages, which means, if they're not buying anything, the businesses can't pay someone's wages, they've got no money to spend, and it's a cycle then, and it just gets in this cycle of people spending less money, the businesses have less money, people lose their jobs, and it creates this sort of the depression cycle, I suppose. So what they do is they want people to start spending money, then that will create more business, which creates more jobs. So by pumping out lots and lots of money into the environment, people then think they've got more money, which means they can go out and spend more money. So that's what they're aiming to do, and that's what America's been doing over the last few years. With interest rates really low, they see that to create interest rates low, what they're really doing is they're out putting money out into the economy, I suppose. So what you need to think about then, though, so, okay, well, they're putting all this money out in the economy. What that creates then is inflation. At the moment, it hasn't created any inflation. So at some point in time, this is going to create some sort of... And as far as the market goes, inflation is not necessarily a good thing, because what happens then is then people can't afford to buy things because they get too expensive. So, and at some point in time, when it might kick into hyperdrive, it might actually be hyperinflation, which it creates... the prices go up really quickly, people can't afford it, and then that's when you create sort of a depressive environment, I suppose. So he sort of went through various examples of different economies and how they're struggling with certain issues at the moment, and particularly, he was even pointing out with China. At the end of the day, China is probably one of the, in the best shape, I suppose, but a lot of their money comes from selling stuff to, exporting things to America and Australia and all these other economies. So if we're struggling, we're not going to buy it off China. And if they're one of the biggest economies in the world, they're struggling too, then it's going to create this, a catalyst, I suppose, potentially for things to go a bit pear-shaped. So yeah, it was really interesting to have a look at that. Again, I suppose a lot of people are really focused purely, on myself, guilty of it as well. I pretty much, because I'm, do a lot of developments, then I really focus on, the money as at right now, and less focused on the buy and hold sort of strategy. But even looking with developments, he pointed out a few examples of, if only 5 or 10 years ago, there's amazing opportunities out there for development sites. You buy a property that can subdivide and develop and make money on, pretty much straight away. Whereas 5 or 10 years ago, when everyone was really optimistic, people were paying premiums for those type of things and they're selling it straight away. Now you've got opportunities where you can make some pretty good money, and it sits on the market for 6, 9, 12 months, and no one's buying it because everyone has this pessimism out there, that they're worried they might lose their job, they're worried about what's the economy going to do. Hey, thanks for joining, Andrew Crosby. I hope you find this interesting. And so if people got this pessimism out there, then people don't want to buy property. They're worried about doing a development because they're not sure if someone will be able to buy it at the end. So that's creating this environment right now where some really good opportunities to go out and buy some development sites. I suppose what you need is the confidence to know that you'll get through it. At the end of the day, even if the market does turn, there's going to be an end to it, really. So the key thing to take away, and one of the awesome things that Angelo pointed out was, you've just got to ride out the market, really, and take advantages of the opportunities they some. So if there's a bargain out there, like there's lots of opportunities out now, as really good deals to buy development properties because no one's out there buying anything. You just got to make sure you got the cash flow and the finances to be able to, if there is, a plan B as far as, what happens if the market does go down. So the benefit you got by doing a development or a renovation or a building or any of those sort of things where you're creating value in a property is you're buying it cheaper than it otherwise would be anyway. So even if the market did go down, because you bought it so much cheaper, you've got that bit of a buffer compared to everyone else in the market as well. So that's pretty much what I gained from the presentation tonight from Angelo. So I really appreciate that, Angelo. And hopefully you guys got some use out of, I wanted to share his knowledge with you guys as well. So hopefully you got some value out of it too. So, hey, Mitchell, thanks for joining. And I suppose, and the other thing about this, I want to get some feedback from you guys on whether you think, are you really pessimistic too? Do you think the market's going to crash and burn, or you think it's all hype, or, relative to other states, other states around Australia have all had their big booms and they're predicting a bit of a bust in, Sydney and Melbourne. Queensland's sort of already cooled off. Western Australia's probably on the way back down. We really haven't had much of a boom. We've just been putting along. And so relative to the other states, we're so much more undervalued. There is still pessimism out there. People are worried they're going to lose their jobs, so they're not inclined to go out and spend money. So at some point in time, people's perceptions is going to change, and then suddenly it's going to wake up to the fact that the property seems, undervalued. And then suddenly as soon as one person gets in there, everyone will jump in and start going a bit crazy. So hopefully that's the case. The key for you is, I suppose, to take away from this is, you just got to get out and do something. You got to try and, do it with your eyes open, understand that there's pros and cons to every investment, but and understand that there's a global economy out there too. What you need to be able to do is hang in for the long term, and then try and if you can wear out the down times, then when the up times happen, you're going to have so much bigger gains than you otherwise would. So, hi Darren, thanks for joining. So if you want to put a comment in there, if you can give me your feedback on what you think the market's going to do, if you think the market's going to crash, or you think it's going to be cruising along, or you think there's opportunities out there that, if you hang in there, it's going to, there's going to be an up kick at some point in time. The difference you're going to get, particularly when you're dealing with people's perceptions, you never know when people's perceptions are going to change, really, and it's a herd mentality, I suppose. So once one person's going to decide, then another person's going to decide, then everyone decides all at once, and suddenly everyone's jumping in all at the same time. So the key is to be in the market doing something, and then when the market changes, then you can take advantage of it. So hopefully it's made sense what I've talked about tonight, and if you've liked it, please click on the like button. If you haven't liked it, then just click on the like button anyway, that'd be great. And if you know someone that might find this useful, then if you can click on the share button, that'd be great. I've got some of the TAFE students that came along. I bribed them, saying I'd give them a free copy of my book if they became a Facebook friend of mine and watched my videos. So maybe they're watching it tonight, so hopefully got some use out of my presentation, and thank you for the like, whoever gave me that like, and hopefully get some useful out of information out of some of my other posts. Like I said, if you've got any questions, anything you want me to talk about in future little Facebook lives, then feel free to write it in there and I'll talk about it next time. Thanks guys, good night.